back. It's me, Brittany Hislop with Here, Let Me Help You. Okay, one of these has to be good. If not, I'm literally gonna die. Okay, bye. Hey.
Hi.
Welcome back, babe. Welcome back to Here, Let Me Help You, the podcast.
We made it.
We made it. It's Saturday night. We're recording. And
we have Swisher.
Swisher's back. Yeah.
Say hi, Swisher.
Anyways, we're here with an important topic this week. We're back on learning about early childhood development. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that today and just have a conversation.
Yep. About Chile.
Yeah, mostly about Chile because I would love it to be about America, but I think that we're slacking here in America. And so I'm here to get people upset, honestly. I want to get people a little bit upset.
Pissed.
Yeah, not at me, but
at the United States.
At the United States, yeah, because I didn't think that we were even doing as bad as I think we are. Like, I think that we could be doing so much better. And I, in my mind, had these ideas before I even started this early childhood development course through Harvard at edX, which go back to the other episode if you.
Yeah.
There's a couple episodes back. I started this class, and I didn't realize, I guess, how far behind or like how much better we could be doing.
Yeah.
I knew that there was programs in place in America to help kids, fundamentally grow and develop. And I knew that we were helping underprivileged children. Like, I knew this, but I didn't really realize that besides that, there's like not much.
Yeah. I feel like it's more community-based here in America than it is governmental-based, but...
Yeah, yes.
There's even lack of that community-based nowadays.
Yeah, so, I mean, we'll get into that in a minute here. I just want to do word of the day, and then I guess we can just jump right into the conversation because I don't want to get too askew from the topic today. So...
with our handy-dandy lexicon dictionary.
Yeah, the word of the day or word of the week, I really need to work on this. Word of the week for this week is bamboozle.
Oh, you've been bamboozled.
Bamboozled.
I like that. It's like you've been tricked.
I wonder, it has to be in here, right?
Yeah, I'll find it. Let me get to the B's in there. Bamboo curtain. It's got to be on this page. Bamboozle.
Bamboozle.
Bamboozling. Bamboozled. To hoax, mystify, or trick. Ingest or malevolently.
Yeah, so bamboozle, it's a verb, B-A-M-B-O-O-Z-L-E. And Merriam-Webster says it is to deceive, trick, or confuse someone.
Yep.
So, an example, the salesperson bamboozled us into getting more expensive item than we had planned to buy.
Freaking sales people.
I'm always getting bamboozled by someone. Again with the
Swisher.
every week.
No.
Pick him up, babe. He's a part of our set now.
I'm bamboozled resistant. You can't bamboozle me.
You can't bamboozle the bamboozler?
That's exactly what I was going to say, babe.
Bamboozler?
I'm a bamboozler.
Is that a word? A thing?
I don't know. It wasn't in the dictionary.
Anyways, so back to early childhood development. Really, like I said, I just wanted this to be more of a conversation.
Can we set this down?
Yeah, of course. Let's put the dictionary down.
Or I'll just set it right here.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I wanted it to be more of a conversation today more than anything. I don't really feel like lecturing people or necessarily, because that's not why I took the course. Like when I started the course, like I knew, well, I wrote like in my little opening like paragraph just on why I wanted to take the course. I wanted to use this podcast to bring awareness to like the subject of childhood development because it was something that I was interested in and learning more about myself. I didn't know much about it. So that was like the whole reason I took the course. And it helped me open my eyes really to see what we could be doing better, really. That's, I think, my biggest takeaway from the class. and they wanted us to come up with some sort of they call it like
a
a
thesis of
thesis, yeah, like
implementation.
an implementation on what we could do here to try to make things better. And there's all different facets of ways that you can try to do that through the media, through teaching. You know, I want to pull them up actually because that's important.
The biopsychosocial development or something. Biopsychosocial, pertaining to biological needs, theological needs, and social societal needs.
Yeah, so there's different ways that you can spread the information, or like the ways that you can implement the different techniques, and that's through materials, they say problem solving, social support, media, I already said that materials are like information. So there's various different ways to get the information out or to try to help with early childhood development. There's multiple different facets, I guess I'm trying to say, or like different sectors. But mine, I wanted to focus on really was caregivers, and then I know that
parents.
and parents, right? And focusing my studies more so on how to help parents and caregivers grow to become the best
caregiver
parent that they be, right? And then on top of that, I knew that I wasn't going to be on like even though I joke and say I want to go and like be on Capitol Hill, like I really don't have any interest in being in the government or going and educating even necessarily. I just want to be an advocate and use my platform to hopefully eventually, if I have the funds to do so, help maybe further some of these studies and then bring this to the government, or like find the right people to work with to bring this to the government to maybe try to flourish this out a little bit, I guess. I don't, or make it a thing. I don't even necessarily know. Again, this is a thesis that I'm writing and trying to come up with in my head, and there's a lot of different things that need to be considered. It's not just like, oh, we're gonna just come up with this plan and just make it work, right? It's there's case studies and all different sectors that need to be involved. But I just want to just start with like the idea, right, and then talk it out, get people interested in what I'm even thinking could work. And then as people start to, I guess, get on board, right? And the more people, as my platform grows, the more I can talk about this, and the more I can educate people or get people mad or upset or like want to go make a change, then I feel like I've done my job.
Yeah.
So that's, I guess, my purpose in this whole scheme of things. I guess when they ask you like what are your plans to do with this, I really don't know. I really don't know, but I do know that everyone has a voice and everyone has the ability to like try to make a change. So if I at least flourish out the thoughts in my head, or like come up with the idea in my head, then if I talk to the right people, I can have my thoughts put together and maybe actually do something, right? Instead of just saying like, oh, I have all these thoughts. If I actually come up with a plan and have it, a little bit more I don't know,
fleshed out.
Yeah, it might help later on down the line
somewhere.
Yeah.
Developing children.
Yeah. And I want to talk about that a little bit more too, because I have plans on how I think I want to do that, but it all ties into to the conversation. So really, I like what Chile's doing, and Chile
seems like a pretty huge sector of their government.
Yes, they have made it into a major a sector. It's a whole big focus within their government, like and it's new. It started in 2006. I want to pull up my notes, but
it's almost 2 decades.
What was so interesting to me is that a lot of these other case studies that I was reading about were done in smaller countries are on a much smaller scale or more, even I want to say more like communal based country where everyone is kind of working as a community and living as a community and not so much individualized. So when I saw that Chile is like one of the largest, I think it's one of the largest countries in South America, if not the largest.
Their population's still only 18.7 million,
right?
Or something like
it's
that.
Still
so it's
much
still
smaller
like
than America,
in
right?
America,
Right.
So
it's still much smaller.
You would still have to figure out on how to
right. But
30x that platform or what they're doing into integrating it into our system somehow,
right? And so
which would be complicated, but not saying it's impossible.
Right.
You got to start somewhere, right? Even if you do only try implementing it in 1 or 2 states at first and seeing how things go, and then as you do your trial and errors, fixing things along the way, just kind of like how Chile did.
Right. I think that
how it started from a top down, but they got all the way down to like the municipals, and like basically it'd be like the cities,
right, and then
would have representatives,
and they were taking input from like each sector, all the way down from the municipalities, the cities, and then all the way up to the federal government.
Yeah,
and everyone's working together. But what stood out to me was that I was like, oh, okay, this is like a pretty well-off country. It's not like it's a underpoverished, low income, very small, super small country where I felt like this wasn't something that we could model off of. Some of the other case studies that I was reading, I was like, there's just literally no way in America that we could get people on board to do this. It just didn't seem like it was possible. But Chile was the one that seemed like they had everything in place the most. And so when I was reading, I was like, oh, wow, these people, to have this in place for almost 2 decades now, that's pretty good. And for it to still be in place and things to still be thriving, I thought it was.
What I kept reading was that they have the same president since then.
Michelle, who
was like, oh, it's just a dictator over there, some woman dictator.
I don't get
since
that.
2006,
and she was a former pediatrician advisor, which I think was also major
very helpful
to the reform that they had. But
so she kind of knew what she was talking about when she wanted to implement this plan for the country. Or, assumably.
And it started off small and it's grown to get bigger, but it was focused on initially kids and families with kids from the ages of gestation, so like pregnancy,
prenatal, into 4 years.
Into 4 years, yep. And then it eventually expanded into the age of 9. But there was different levels of intervention that they had. So what they did is in the first level of their process that when they started implementing the intervention, they were targeting their children and their families using multimedia educational tools to raise awareness and about parenting and child development. So they had a program. It was a website basically, which is which provided information and recommendations, audio visuals, so different manuals and materials. And then they had a section for families where they could contact for breastfeeding support, parenting and health support, social specialists. So this was that was the first thing that they implemented, was a thing where parents could go on and use this as
basically what seems like where the US stopped. You get pamphlets on breastfeeding, or when you go to hospitals and stuff and you're pregnant and you have newborns or whatever. Right. It's
right.
Maybe not audio visuals, but you get some pamphlets.
And it's by
that's how you.
Yeah, and it wasn't necessarily I felt like all of that stuff isn't necessarily regulated by it in any way. It's just if you want to, if you choose to sign up for it, then you can get this information. And I'm not even sure how regulated or how regulated, I think is the right word, the information is. Is there updated courses that these people that are teaching, are they being updated on information
Oh, I'm
yearly?
sure. Yeah.
And then who's training them? Like, where is this training
Well,
coming
just the
from?
professionals probably like keep up with studies and stuff, all probably even from Chile, like all over.
Right,
They probably educate themselves because it's their profession.
right.
Well, I mean, I would assume and I would hope, I hope they're not going off a training manual from like 2008 or something that they haven't
No,
innovated or.
but I guess what I'm saying is, like, who's writing the training manual? Where's the training manual coming from? Are they? Is it like?
Well, yeah, I'm sure here in the United States it's more. I don't know if it's. Maybe it isn't. Well, maybe it
Like
is.
when we
I don't
went to the
know.
birthing classes, our birthing class was taught by a doula who had nothing
Hmm.
to do with who. I mean, yes, she
It was
might.
like a third party. It wasn't
Right,
like from the hospital or from the government or
right.
whatever.
What? Right. So I guess that's my biggest thing is if we're going to be implementing this here in the States, you would want it to be hopefully like mandated somehow, where the people who are
Or
teaching
at
it
least
have to
unified.
go back and get continued education in order to continue to keep up with maybe newer or things or
I would assume that there's some sort of
I'm assuming. I don't know that for a
like
fact.
testing or whatever or licensing that they'd have to come in order to become a doula
Right.
or
But
like teach that to
we
like
don't have here
new
in the States like
mothers.
a place where you can like log in or an app that you can get on or download. And I'm not even saying it needs to be overseen by the government per se,
Hmm.
but I think that the information that's being put out there should be streamlined and, like I said, um, continuously updated, and the people who are who are giving the information should be trained. And then on top of that, the program also provided a free confidential telephone hotline. This was what was really major to me, and it was staffed by a child psychologist to help strengthen parenting skills and protect children's rights.
Hmm.
So, on top of there being a website where you can go and research stuff on your own, if you didn't feel like you were equipped to maybe or
Understand what they're
understand
trying to
what they were trying to
teach.
teach,
You can
or
call a hotline.
you felt like you were in crisis, right?
Hmm.
You could call someone and like essentially like we have the suicide hotline, like
Hmm.
they had hotlines to call for childcare tips
Yeah.
and different psychological behavioral issues, I guess, that maybe even your kids may be having.
Hmm.
You can call. And again, it's hard here because I feel like people don't want to trust anyone else's opinions, even if it is a
Hmm.
professional, because they don't know. It's like, I don't know. Think about it as a parent here in the United States. I'm trying to think about this working. You're calling. You'd have to have so many different people staffed, right? Answering
You'd
these,
have to have a lot of child psychologists
right? And
and
then
sitting at a phone
they
waiting
would
for a
all
phone
have to be
call.
trained. You couldn't have one psychologist giving one parent one type of
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It'd have to
information.
be some kind of unified,
Right,
standardized
right, exactly.
information.
So that's where I think that would be number one here in the States, is we would have to come up with some sort of training
Hmm.
that I don't think we currently have to provide from the get-go for for these providers who are going to go out there and start teaching these people this stuff, and then continuous education on top of that, so that they are making sure that they're up to date on like what
Yeah,
they should
if new
be
information comes out or whatever.
giving to these parents. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if we have that here necessarily, because we don't
I
have
don't
any of
know.
this stuff. We just don't have any of this stuff. That was mind blowing to me that they have this in place.
Hmm.
And again, I think you don't have to have it through the hospitals. You can have it through third parties.
Hmm.
I think that could even be a job that you can create, like for mothers.
Yeah, it'd be like subsidized by the government.
Yeah,
It'd be
like
like an NGO.
you get trained, you go to school,
Yeah.
you can even pick a certain age group that you want to specialize in, whether it be newborns or prenatal or 1 to 3,
Hmm.
whatever, 3 to 5, and then you go and you specialize in techniques and tips and all these different things for
Yeah.
that special age group, and then you're going to go work for the government
Well, it would probably be a
or a
non-government
non-government
organization.
organization.
But it'd probably be
subsidized by the government.
Yeah.
And they would employ you, and you'd go work for whatever center around the country that they need you at, right?
Yeah.
I just felt like that would help tremendously with streamlining information to parents in the beginning, so that we have information right from the beginning, right from the get-go.
Yeah, help.
Help.
Yeah, some kind of help with parenting.
Right. And then they also have mobile apps, radio programs, social media, different
it's like a huge thing.
pamphlets, videos. It's like they are giving you the most, like so much information. I was like, what? I this is unheard of. I was like, this is not happening here. It's just not. Unless I'm missing out, I don't know. Like,
yeah, unless we just haven't looked into that hard enough or tried to find it hard enough in the United States.
That's my point. You shouldn't have to look into it hard enough. It should be right there. Like when you walk into the doctor's office or the hospital, it should be right there. Like I shouldn't have to be searching the dark web to like try to figure out this information. I just don't think that that's necessary. So that was huge for me, and I think that that's groundbreaking. And if we can somehow get that
implemented here,
that would take the guessing work out of a lot of stuff for a lot of people. And I know that they did studies on, I think because there's certain lower income areas in Chile, just like there are here in America, versus higher income ones. And they did studies based off of what those certain areas need more than maybe others may need. But I think that this needs to be available. Like here in America, we're so focused on only the underprivileged. Like this needs to be available to everyone in the country. Like it doesn't matter your economic status. I think that that's another thing that they did very well in Chile, is like, although they kind of honed what they needed for certain areas to do better and thrive. Maybe certain areas with lower income needed certain things more than others. But they still provided the same information to everyone. They didn't just exclude people because they thought that they didn't need it. Everyone got the equal opportunity to the information. So I thought that was really nice.
Yeah, that's nice.
Going back to like my conversation a couple weeks ago, like that, like just because you're rich doesn't mean that you like know how to be a proper or good parent.
No. But if you did need help, if you're rich, it's a lot easier to go find the help because you have more money at your disposal to get what you need and what you want.
Sure.
Just go pay for it.
But
and
you should
out there. You can go find it.
But why should I don't even think that it's just not something that I think that we should have to be paying for.
Well, maybe not, but I'm just saying the point is if you're rich, no,
you can't. You can go do
it's
whatever.
a lot harder for families with zero money and
But again,
no expendable cash.
It would be nice to know that these people that you're hiring, even if you have the money, have some sort of accreditation that is somewhat standard. Like I know that these people like that. Usually, if you have money, you're hiring someone who has a degree or who you believe has some sort of previous knowledge or in the subject of what you're hiring them in. But to know across the board that like there was some sort of like standard level of like where they had to be at in order to like even give you
like it would be nice
credible information
if those rich people that are contacting those psychologists or doctors or child development people were just employed by the NGO that was subsidized by the government, that not only the rich people can reach but everyone
could reach.
Be given that information too as well.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that sounds right, babe.
That'd be nice.
That would be nice. So there's that. But then also, it's hard. Again, this one is hard because it's something in America. This is a multi-level thing. But in Chile, they have pretty much it's like free healthcare. So 80% of children are using the public healthcare system, which ensures that children are receiving benefits related to the key milestones and the checkups that they're supposed to be getting.
And 80% that are using that free healthcare are just like automatically, when they go in for their prenatal checkups, they're like automatically enrolled
into this program.
into the Crisi,
Chris,
Crece,
yes, that's what I'm sorry, we never
Crece,
told the people what it's
Crece
called.
Contigo.
Crece contigo.
Crece Contigo
Crece contigo
means grows with you.
grows with you, and it's again, it's in Chile.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that again, I don't even know how we would begin. I'm not into that.
Well, yeah, it'd be hard to get all of America on board to have that as like a automatic thing that you're automatically enrolled into, because people all over the place will be like, no, I don't want
to be
that.
enrolled, right? But what
And you'll be
they're
like,
doing,
okay.
what they're doing is when these people go into the doctor
Mm-hmm.
or the hospital, there's like a checkup being done prior to even meeting with the doctor
Mm-hmm.
with like a specialized person, like a person that's specialized there just to meet with you to do like a check-in, like a checkup.
Mm-hmm.
Like they do like behavioral and also well-being. Like they want to make sure that the parents and the kids are hitting their milestones.
Yeah.
So they sit down with you, they'll ask you questions based off of like a certain checklist or things that they feel like milestones that you should be hitting,
Mm-hmm.
and then they take that information and they give it to the doctor, and the doctor looks and reviews all that, and then during the appointment with the child and the parents, they can then sit with you and kind of discuss some of the things where that you may need a little extra help with
Mm-hmm.
or may not, and the doctor might not be the ones that give you like the coaching or the education that you need, but they're able to then send you to either a specialist or a coach or
Mm-hmm.
someone that might be able to provide you with more detailed information or help that you may be needing. And so it's like just an extra like checks and balances.
Mm-hmm.
Like again, we were talking about this the other day. Like when you go to the doctor, they're checking for your kid to make sure that they're healthy, that they don't have any like speech delays and development delays. But like they're not asking you like, are you happy? Like, you know,
well, what I thought was cool is that, like you said, it like when you go to the doctor, they do those checkups on you or whatever, and then like, say your kid's having delays in like reading or writing, and they're in like the 3rd or 4th grade or something, then that would like set off an alert to their Crisi Contigo program or whatever, and then some specialists would
follow up,
find things that would be able to, that they can either send or personally go and help, or like tutors or whatever like I'm blanking on the word, but like things that they would need in order to help them progress
specialized
their
care,
deficiency, some specialized care, some education, whatever it is. It would like set off an alert that like this little honeybee worker in the Crisi Contigo thing would be able to send to that family and get to that family in order for them to, like hopefully catch up. And it wasn't only to the children too. I thought it was interesting that if like in their checkup or whatever, it came across that like the parent didn't have a job or was jobless and was having problems like providing for the kid or whatever, that would set off an alert to the caregivers for the parents to like send them information about job fairs or like job openings or like where they can get a job in their community and stuff, and they would help them go try and find a job doing that stuff. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool too. You know, like they're not only looking out for the, well, I mean, and it is also looking out for the kid, but it's looking out for the
parents, right? And that's again, that set off a huge light bulb to me
because
too.
if the adult's not doing well, then the kid's obviously not going to be doing well either.
And so that really was what again was major, right? Because if I'm focusing on the parents and the caregivers, it's more than just checking, like you said, checking in with the kids. And they've said this in other case studies around the world. Like for example, I was in, I want to say Jordan, or I'd have to go back and look. I believe it was Jordan, but Syria. I'm sorry. There's so much just unrest in the country, right? With parents being stressed about just the surrounding situation that's happening
Mm-hmm.
that they can't even focus on being a good parent, right? And so that's been the biggest focus there, is also focusing on parents and making sure that they are mentally inept.
Mentally not
Not
inept.
inept. Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry. That's what I meant. Sorry, sorry.
You
That
don't want
they
mentally inept
not
parents.
that they are no, but that they are mentally even
Stable.
stable and
Yeah.
conscious and will able to focus on their
To
children,
provide the needs of the kid.
right. Yeah. So it's
Yeah, and I thought that was pretty cool. And again, like, you know, again, scaling that to the size of the U.S. would be very difficult, but, you know, it would be cool.
It would be something that I don't think we would be able to maybe have like one-on-one.
No, it would be more of like a voluntary program instead of like it's integral into the government. I feel like it would be more voluntary here in the U.S. with as large as we are compared to Chile.
Yeah, I mean, if it was serious enough, I think that there would need to be someone that gets involved no matter what. But if it was something that wasn't, you know what I'm saying? Like if an alert goes off that there's a child in the home that is having serious psychological issues,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think that it would be like there would have to be like a like green, yellow, red, like
Yeah, like
good.
some kind of scale.
Yeah, like this is something where we need to get involved and we need to send someone and try to
Mm-hmm.
do something, or here's some extra uh reading material type stuff that you can use to try to help. But I don't think that reading materials is what people need. I don't think that it's that. They need more interactive people actually talking with them
Mm-hmm.
and getting the information out of them, even that they may not be able to like they might not
they
even
need more like practical application
right.
intervention.
They might not be able to think of
just
themselves.
Like, here, read this book and you'll be a great parent type of thing. Because that's like,
yeah, you read it,
really
you might not be able to comprehend it, or might not even actually read it, or you might get something from it that was way different than what was meant.
Might interpret it totally wrong.
Right. So I think that it's important that we have more like face-to-face interactions, or like the apps and the videos and the shows and different things like that that really get people's involved in a conversation. People like to talk a lot, so let's get people conversating and actually thinking more about what they're doing instead of just like, I don't know. A lot of people just, I feel like they like have the best intentions to try, but then they don't actually do it. But we need to force people a little bit more here. I think that's
once
what we
you
need
start
to do.
saying force, that's
I
when people are
know
gonna
it
be
sucks,
like, "Fuck no!"
but like
you ain't
that's the
forcing me to do
problem here. But
nothing with
like
my
we
kids."
need to a little bit like get people, get them motivated to like actually even care about this stuff. And if someone's prompting you at the doctor, even asking you these questions, maybe you weren't thinking about this stuff, or like, you know. And so if someone's there to just like say, hey, you should look into
maybe they're
this,
like ignorant to the fact or
I
something.
think that if you force people to think it a little bit more, maybe it'll help them.
Yeah, but it's hard to. You can't really force people to think.
No, but if it was a part of the doctor's appointments, and most parents are taking their kids to their doctors, whether it's
yes, if it was integral,
whether it's free healthcare or not, if it was something that was available at the hospital or at the doctors for parents, I think it would be beneficial.
Yeah. Yeah,
I would have to say. I mean, whether you could go to the doctor and it could be like an optional thing. Do you want to meet with this person or not? But if it's a free service and you're at the doctor already, why wouldn't you take advantage of that? It just doesn't make sense why someone would not. To me, that's a red flag right there. If someone declines, I'd be like, well, we need to make sure that this parent.
Well, I mean, maybe they think their life is going good and their kid's fine, and they're running late for work or their family event or whatever. Like there's so many situations where it'd be like totally acceptable for someone to be like, no, I decline. I don't I don't need that. Me and my family are good. My kids are fine.
Yeah, I just don't think I would ever decline that, though. I just don't think that I would ever, like, I know personally, like, I feel like, yes, I'm a good mom. I personally feel like I'm good. Like,
Oh yeah, no.
but I could
But
never.
there's always room for improvement.
There's always room for improvement. Like, I could never just tell someone, like, nah, I know what I'm doing. I got it all taken care of. Because that, to me, is not growth. That's, like, not, and that's the hardest part to me. That's the hardest part about this thing is scaling in America. We have money, we have education.
We don't have money.
We don't, but we do. We're putting it towards things that we maybe could be spending it. We're in a lot of debt, but we're in a lot of debt for reasons that maybe we shouldn't be. Like, we could be taking some of the money and putting it towards
every country's
education
in debt.
instead. Yeah, of course. So, like, if Chile can find the money, we can find the money.
Well, they probably take it a lot from their civilians. It's probably,
we can give a little bit of money to educate our
well, I feel like most people would want that reallocated instead of forming like a new tax increase.
Well, right. I don't need a new tax, but yes,
we reallocated
1,000%, or just better. I wanted some checks and balances of where the money that we already are using for the education.
Yeah, good luck.
That's a whole nother conversation.
Good luck. Money goes everywhere.
God.
That's what Doge is for, Elon Musk and Doge are cutting money. Maybe you could just send Elon a little tweet and be like, hey, all those billions you're saving, can you put some
towards our education system?
Early childhood development?
That would be nice.
There's an idea. Yo, Elon, I know you watch all of our episodes, bro. If you're watching this, dude, right now, maybe you'll watch it tomorrow. Who knows? I don't know when you're watching this, but I know you watch every episode. Just go ahead and take some of that Doge savings over there.
Help us out.
And throw it into the kids, dude. Throw it into the kids in here.
This is a side note, but this is, again, why I'm doing this. This is why I'm doing this, because I want to eventually be able to speak with people who have more power than I do and convince them in a conversational way to make a positive change, because I personally, my vocabulary is not very expansive. I really don't feel like I have all of the right words that I need to be able to formulate like exactly what I need to get across. But I know that if I can explain it in a passionate enough way that they will understand what I'm saying.
You can make them feel.
Exactly. And then they will go talk to who they need to go talk to to get the ball rolling. Like, that's really all it is. I don't feel like I'm the smartest, greatest person to be doing this, but I do have 2 kids, and I do feel really passionate about making sure that not only are they good, but that like I'm a good parent. And so that's
you want your kid to be proud of you, and vice versa as well. You want to be proud of your kid.
That's my little tangent there, but sorry. Anywho. Back to on topic. Another thing I thought was cool is that they had the newborn support program.
Okay.
And then we'll go on to the 3rd level. They literally give moms like articles on like how to cradle their kids, clothes, early stimulation items. Like, they'll even provide them with like some of the like little things like that they need. Like, these are like, again, it sounds so simple, but like we don't get any of this information. Like, none of this information is given to us really unless a mother like hires someone. Like, when you're in the hospital, they like show you how to like wrap your baby up in that little blanket or whatever. But like, I really don't feel like I was getting much information even on breastfeeding. Like, they're like, I feel
like we got some pretty comprehensive. Well, maybe not. I think we sought out.
We sought it out.
Comprehensive breastfeeding.
Yeah, I just feel like these are things like no woman should be sitting in a hospital like like, you should literally leave there with like, they should give you a fucking right. And it's like, I'm not even saying maybe
no one's gonna read
it all. So, and nowadays, now that we have apps and stuff, like, they should have that like on the TV, like
an app that breaks down the stages.
Yeah, why not? Yeah. Like, there are individual apps out there that you can download, and they all have like their little tips and tricks and stuff. But like, why not have one that's like standardized by like a health organization or, something like that where you feel like very, very confident. And, you can go to that app and it's updated on the regular and you can contact people if you need to, or maybe there's like a chat area or something.
Contact some kind of professional or something.
I don't know. I'm trying to think. Maybe I sound naive, but I just feel like if they're doing it already in other countries, we can do it here.
Yeah.
We can do it. So, and then they also have this workshop and it's called Nobody is Perfect. And it's to promote parenting skills. So I thought that this one was good too, because this reminded me of like something that we could maybe do in a media form, like on a show form. So they're basically like saying like they're supporting parents and like basically showing like parents that it's okay to mess up, right? And that I think a big thing here in America is that a lot of people, it's like almost like taboo, like that, like people don't want to say, like admit that they are struggling with being a parent, right? I think that that's, I don't know why. Like, I feel like a lot of people, they don't want to, they just don't want to tell anyone, like, hey, like, I might need some help, or my kids acting bad, or my kids acting out. Like, no one like wants to admit that. They always like, whenever you ask, and well, maybe this is more of like a mom thing, but you always ask like, oh, how's Jimmy or how's Sally? And it's like, oh, they're doing great and they're this and that. And like, unless you have like a real ass mom or someone that you're really close with, you're not ever gonna get into like, oh, well, my kid has these horrible behavioral problems and I'm really stressed and I don't know how to do this and I don't know how to, be a good parent. No, most of the time that's not really the topic of conversation here in America. And so when I saw that they have that as a topic of conversation, that like nobody's perfect, I thought that was a good way, or a good way to implement that here in America would be through the media, like in that show that we watched on ABC. What was it called? It was called
I have no idea.
I wrote it down. Hold on one second. The Parent Test on ABC. Okay. So do you remember that show at all?
No.
Okay, so it was basically a show on ABC. There was only one season.
Is that the one where they like a stranger's gonna come knock on your door? Let's see what your kids do.
That's like one of the ones that stood out to be the most. So basically it was like a social experiment. And they had different styles of parents come on the show, and then they recorded them and their kids in their home in different scenarios, or not always in the home. Sometimes it was outside the home, but it was like, like a stranger comes to your door, and what will your kid do? Will they answer the door? Will they, and it's basically just, it was kind of like testing the parents or showing how well the parents were doing at parenting.
Yeah.
So it was putting them in this very vulnerable position because they were not only being judged by
the other parents
on the show, but also the entire world who was watching. And then they also had like a therapist on the show, or like a family psychiatrist or therapist, maybe both, who were there as like a third party to kind of like give tips on like maybe what you should do differently in the scenario, or like what you could have done, and maybe how two parenting styles may be different but could also be very beneficial. They were kind of like giving you different ways to like think outside of the box, right, on parenting styles. And they had all different types of parenting styles there. There was like the strict parents, and there was like the super lenient parent, and like the new age parent, all the different types, right?
Yeah.
They kind of gave them all categories. But I think that I don't know why they didn't do another season of it. Maybe it didn't do that well, but it's my goal here. Like, I think if I have one major goal on how I want to like tie myself into this whole thing, is to maybe do some type of show and produce some type of show where it brings light onto those types of conversations again. And I thought the way they did it was great. It could maybe be a little less, I don't know,
1990s.
Yeah, like, I guess you can
A
make it
little
a
bit
little bit
better, a little
more.
bit better production, maybe.
No, yeah, I mean, I guess they were doing it I guess the conversation that they did get heated. It did get a little heated because there was people
Oh
that,
yeah,
like,
it got
walked
heated.
upset. So I guess it was pretty real. I guess they could have gotten more into it, like, they could have let the parents, I think, um, debate a little bit more.
Yeah.
They kinda had, like, an intermediary that kinda, like,
Yeah, there was a little of that, but
not
not too
too much,
much.
but I think sometimes when you let parents, not like Jerry Springer style, like fight it out, but like if you let them have like a conversation and kind of talk it out, and like what that show highlighted well was like they went through the scenarios and played it back, and everyone got to see like
Hmm.
how the kids and the parents were reacting in, their homes, which I thought was
But it
interesting.
also showed a lot, if I remember correctly, it also showed a lot of the parents being like stubborn in their ways too.
Yeah, no, I like that though because if you just have a conversation, you're always gonna, like, talk about your parenting in your best
Hmm.
light, but when the cameras are rolling, sometimes you can't change, like, what you did
Yeah,
on camera, right?
yeah.
So I think that it was important to have that footage, but then also, like, if the parents, um they did defend themselves. I guess they did do that a pretty good job on that
Yeah.
show. But I was just like, I wanted to be more of an open conversation on like why these parents chose to parent the way that they did. And then also maybe have more of a conversation on like what they could do better, and they did do that, but I think
Hmm.
that can be even, it could have been even more fleshed out, and could have been more and more seasons. I think it was a great show.
Yeah.
And not that that's gonna change the way that you parent, but even for
Well, it could
me,
slightly.
it opened my eyes to see different ways that parents were parenting, and it made me realize, it gave me takeaways, ways
Yeah.
that maybe I wanted to
Things you
change
wanted
things,
to implement or not
not
implement.
implement.
Yeah.
Yep. And it wasn't really to like shame the parents. I don't think that's never the goal, but it definitely maybe helped those parents change or tweak some of
Hmm.
the things that they were doing. Not only because they were watching what other parents were doing, but because when you watch yourself back on camera,
Hmm.
when you watch yourself parent, and we'll hear the way you talk to your kids or like hear the way you do certain things, sometimes just that alone will make you want
Yeah.
to make a change.
Make you reconsider
Yeah.
what
You're
you're doing.
like,
Yeah.
woof. So I think that was something that we should maybe, me and you, a little project. Oh, eventually,
Me and you. Now
eventually,
I'm being
you're gonna help
thrown
me
into
produce this
this.
show.
I don't know the
No,
first thing about
no,
production.
it's not about that, but I think it's just good to get the both parent, like there was all different types of parents. There was also single dads on the show.
Hmm.
There was, two gay dads on the show, like all different
Hmm.
types of parents, single mom. Um, there was like a mom who had adopted the kid. It wasn't even like the actual biological mother.
Yeah.
So I just think that that's my goal. Somehow, some way, in my little gift to society will eventually be
The
to,
show.
yeah. But I see shows like Miss Rachel, right?
Hmm.
And I was watching that with Kennedy, my youngest daughter, the other day, and I love that show for kids. I'm not knocking on Miss Rachel. Because like they have little like tips even for parents in the bottom screen, um like these are things that you can do with the kid to talk about this, or she'll do like sign language things, like to like bring that into the learning of the show, or
Hmm.
for the kids, and the parents as well. But I think that there needs to be like a late night show for
For
parents,
adults only.
for, yeah, like a whole network, even, like I said, yeah, like where you can really start having these conversations more.
Yeah.
I think that'd be kind of cool.
That'd be cool.
They did it in Pakistan, where they Sesame Street. Um, well, I have the notes here. They
Made Big Bird wear a burqa.
no, no. Oh my god,
Sorry, that was
that
trolling.
was mean.
It's not
So
mean, it was just a joke.
So,
but it would be funny if they did Sesame Street with Big Bird in America. That'd be funny.
no, it's called Alan Sim, and it was a humanitarian collaboration between Sesame Workshop and the International Rescue Committee to provide early learning and nurturing care to children affected by conflict in Syria, Iraq, Jordan, and Lebanon.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was funded by a couple different foundations, the MacArthur Foundation, Lego Foundation, and it was the largest humanitarian project for children in history, or I guess it still is. But it is basically, they partnered with Sesame Street to develop and local artists to develop and design certain coping skills and promote resilience for those areas of the world, and
Yeah,
bring
they're
in
just war-torn
yeah,
nations.
so there was and there's certain little characters, there's a goat, because that's a popular animal there. So there's a goat animal, and silly goat that they
Yeah.
brought in just to kind of relate to the culture
Yeah.
of that area. But again, they're using the media to help these kids cope with what's going on and learn about their emotions and their feelings and different things that are happening around them. And so it's if we can do that for kids, why can't we do that for adults too? In a non-cheesy way. I'm not talking it needs to be a Sesame Street show, but we can have a whole you can have a whole network, like a PBS network for adults with educational different programs on parenting. And they can be all different programs. One can be a talk show, like the ABC, like the parenting show. One could be a more educational, teaching show. There can be shows where you have maybe therapists come on, or different case studies that they talk about, or different things. I mean, there can be, like I said, it's endless topics. You can talk about breastfeeding, motherhood. You could talk about fathers. Shows about fatherhood and different tips and tricks for fathers. That's really lacking out there, I feel like. There's so many different things that we can use here in the States to help our caregivers and our adults, and not only be better parents, but just be better adult humans, and help them work on themselves. There has to be some way that we can help our caregivers without focusing it all on the children all the time.
Yeah.
The underlying you know goal is to help the kids, but I also think it's to help us as a society grow. We need to help the parents
and the
help the
caregivers.
kids grow to be, so that the next generations get better.
Yeah, because I'd say a lot of the times the reason why the kids have problems isn't because of the kid itself, it's because of their environment and the parents.
Right. I don't know. I really, like I said, I don't know necessarily. My goal is to help the children, obviously, and early childhood development flourish. But I think that what I'm talking about is helping adults just be good adults. But tied to that is parenting. I wanted to more so. I'm here to, because I think that early childhood development is important, and I think that we need to help the kids be better so that we can grow as a society. But I also think that
it starts with the parents.
Right. Well, yes, and I keep saying that, but I think that when we're teaching, or when I'm thinking about this channel about teaching how to be a better parent, I want it to be something where people could tune in that maybe don't even have kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where they can get tips and tricks on how to care for themselves, even if they don't have children. I think that there needs to be a bigger focus on just mental health overall. And then when you work on that, you're just going to in return be a better human, which will help you be a better parent. So it's hard for me to just tie this into, because for me, I'm oh yes, I really care about, my kids, and I want to make sure that we are the best parents possible and that we're given the most information possible so that we can raise them to be the best humans. But at the same time, I'm what about everyone else that is not a parent? I still want them to be good too, right? So
Yeah, but that just wouldn't pertain to
early childhood development,
childs or kids.
but it's like
Childs.
they were once a child themselves, and they maybe were
Yeah.
neglected in some aspect, and so like I want them to feel like
Yeah, that'd be more towards like the mental health,
yeah. So
of like individuals. Period.
it's like I know I'm here talking about early childhood development, but like I really and I think the bigger picture here is just like Americans here in America, we need to do better helping with the mental health crisis, which will also help with early childhood development and
Oh yeah.
parenting. So if we want to start there, we could even start there. I really want us as a collective American society to be better. And I know it starts with younger generations and making sure that we are taking care of them, but we also need to take care of ourselves. That's like the biggest thing here.
Yeah, that's highly important.
Yeah. So it's like, what do you focus on first? Do you focus on the mental health crisis and getting the adults healthy?
Well, yeah, I would think that majority of kids' issues and kids' problems where they're lacking in their childhood development,
it's because their parents aren't happy.
Stems from the parents.
Right. And it's like, yes, you need those tips in order to be the best parent. Like, you need all the tips and tools that you can get, but you also need the tips and tools on how to like help yourself. Right. So it's like, now that I'm thinking about this, it's like, yes, I'm mad that we don't have more things to help like develop our children, but I'm more mad that we don't have things to help just like help. It's all like a giant circle, because like it's like this is ridiculous. Why am I even? Because like you got to help the kids because the kids turn into adults, right? But then the kids that didn't get the help as kids,
yeah, but what
need
you're
the
trying
help
to
as
say
adults.
is that
So you can't.
it starts with the adults.
Yeah, it starts with the adults.
It mainly starts.
It's like, what comes first, the chicken or the egg?
Unless your kids are born with deficiencies or disabilities or cognitive abilities or mental issues or anything like that, and you have a perfectly healthy child, but they're having childhood development problems throughout their life, it's probably because of something that you are doing as a parent, or that you are lacking of doing as a parent.
Right.
So I would say, yes, I would agree that in most cases that it's the parents that need, I don't like the word reforming, but like, some kind of not even intervention, because that kind of seems like mandatory where it's like invasive, but
that's what they call it in these studies, as intervention, which is like, I defined it.
It's hard to find a better word for it. You don't want like, authorities coming and knocking on your door and be like, hey, you got to fix this about you or else, like, type of thing.
No,
but
they
I totally agree with you. But yes, it's mainly like parenting or lack of parenting properly, I guess.
Right. I guess I know I think I'm sounding really tired and stupid right now. But like I said, it's kind of like chicken or the egg type situation.
We already admitted that we're not the smartest people for this job. We're just trying to, flesh out some ideas, and hopefully some other smart people can run with it. That's all.
I really do hope that this made some sort of sense to like where I was trying to go with this, because I just want people to understand that like we could be doing better,
Oh yeah, always.
And why aren't we? Like, I want more people to be mad about this with me, because like
well, I mean, here in the American society, the culture itself has shifted a lot from the nuclear family and the healthiness of the family into me and my happiness and my personal me. Like, it's all, well, I want to be happy and I want to do this, like, I don't care what it's going to do to my kid. I'm just going to bring him along with me because I want to do this. And, it's just more of a self-indulgence culture here in America than it is with a sacrificial family, nuclear family unit.
Like, I want people to be more present and conscious and like happy to be parenting, right? Not be caught up in like their own bullshit and like their own worries, and that's life, right? That's always going to happen. But we are in a pretty safe, great country. Like, we're not in a third world country where we need to be worried about bombings and attacks and like where we're going to find our food for the most part. Like, unless we are, most of us are very, very, very well off here, or
yeah, compared to other
compared to other
countries. Yeah,
countries.
100%.
I'm not saying that there aren't people here that are struggling to the nth degree.
Yeah, there are.
There are, but we should be able to fix that here. Like, that's my whole point.
Yeah.
Like, we should be able to adjust that. Like, and we're not. We're just like, we're keeping everyone, like, I feel like we're keeping people down on purpose or something. Like, we're keeping people from succeeding when all we really need to do is give them some extra tools or support. And I guess it sounds more simple than it actually is, but at the same time,
that all needs to stem from culture and community based, though, because once you start throwing in like dictatorships and government to like force that to go on and to happen and to like, revamp society and force that down people's throat, that's when you're going to get conflict and, people not wanting it and like just like avoiding it just because it's being forced upon them, type of thing. So I think it stems from community and culture more so than it does like the government doing something about it or like having
but I think the reason
bureaucracy
our community and culture is lacking, but that just is a mental mind shift of the collective that's going to have to change. And I think that the way to do that, it's not the government forcing you to do that, but it's like by providing information that is going to help like push that along.
Yeah, it'd be like promoting that kind of propaganda.
Propaganda, yeah.
It'd be like propaganda
all over. It just needs to be everywhere.
Instead of like propaganding
like there should be signs all over like, are you conscious right now? Like literally, like wake up, look around. Like literally, like I'm not kidding you.
Yeah,
there needs to be more of that. Like slow down, stop.
Yeah.
Smell the roses. That's like really corny, but it's really
I think America should use propaganda to promote the nuclear family again.
Yeah.
And they should have like billboards around all of America with like happy families.
Of course. I think so too. And like I said, you can take
and kids and families.
You can take that whole child care, like mother, stay-at-home mom, like, and turn that into like a business for them where you can have online courses.
But that's like so like taboo now. It's like, oh, you want stay-at-home moms? Like, what do you hate women? You want to make them your slaves at your house?
I know, it's like kind of like I see where people are kind of like it's anti-progressive, but I think that that's bringing back something that was so important, like having a parent that's always there in the home, whether you want to agree with me or not. I think that helps a child thrive.
Yeah.
And if you can bring that back, I'm not saying that you can't be a working mother too. That's my point. Like if this is something that's important to you and you want to be at home with your child, you can still make it a business by, if we have some sort of, like I said, classes or things that you can take, and then you get your accreditation, and then you can go teach these courses or talk about them online or in a class or in a small mom group. You can get paid to teach these classes. You can make this a business. I'm not saying that this isn't something that can be scaled, but I think that this is something that would bring
in 2025 you have so much opportunities to work from home and make businesses from home.
In other countries they have like, they call them like lady workers and like the other like caregivers and like these mothers that are coming into the community and like going into these homes and helping families and parents and teaching them these things. And in America, it's like you don't want anyone to help. Like I said, it's like taboo to even admit that you're doing something wrong. And it's like, let's invite these mothers and people, caregivers, the women or people that are like supposed to be the caregivers, let them find a career out of this and do their job and do what they love. Like if they love being a mom, then let's not just bind them to just being a mom, but you can be everything and help our society. It all is gonna
that also because snowballs. Like all those high valued like genius women that are out there working in the workforce, maybe they have children. A lot of them are probably single and don't have children. Like they're very career driven and they're like CEOs and stuff like that. And they're very smart and they're very, you know what I'm saying?
You can build
and not to discredit them from that, like not saying, oh, they can't do that, because obviously they can and they have been and they're successful at it. But I would find it maybe more beneficial if they were at home teaching the next generation of kids those values, those and same those smarts,
tips and tricks.
They're at home, you know, all the time. Like
you can have a whole
just be so much beneficial for the next generation and the next generation
of CEOs and women and even men, or just people provide caregivers that want to teach the next generations exactly how to boss up, how to level up, and how to be that great that great human that they were, you know, or that they turned into. I don't know. That's exactly my point. Is like,
but it's difficult because then if they choose to do that, then they're not the boss babe that everyone.
But they are. Nowadays. They are their own business owner, and they're teaching.
They're at home doing that with the kids and teaching the kids, and they're not really.
But you don't have to teach kids. You could teach adults. That's my point.
Yeah, you could teach adults too.
You can teach adults. You can teach caregivers. You can teach other providers. You know what I mean? You can use your education to teach, and then help other people to teach that stuff. Like there's so many ways that people can help each other.
Oh yeah.
And I just think that again, it's all out there already. This is all already happening, but it's not. It's too much information that you don't know what's good information and what's not. I feel like there's people out there that are very, very good at what they do and very good at giving out good information or putting out good information. And then there's other people out there that people may follow that may not be giving great or providing great information. And then you have people that are now following these people that might not be leading you in the right direction, you know? So I just want it to be, like I said, just overseen a little bit, just a little bit, where you have to go you have to go to medical school and you have to keep getting or you go to real estate school and you have to get your license updated, or your medical school you have to get your license updated.
There is out there's certifications and degrees and, you know, like things that they have to get in order to teach these things, I'm sure.
Yeah, but I'm saying if we were to do like a standardized type thing, like a sector of the government, like I would just want there to be I just want there to be some checks and balances, like I said, of like who's teaching it and making sure that these people who are educating the masses we're all on like the same curriculum, at least.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like you can teach it in your own way. You could teach, like, it's like if you were to go to a driver's school, like every driver at ed school is going to have like a different way that they teach it, but the rules of the road are still the same. And so I'm not saying that that's going to be the same way with like parenting and life, but there are like things that have been studies done and different things that social sciences and things that continue to take place and progress that we can update and I think help people, you know.
Yeah. Progress.
If that makes sense.
Makes sense.
Instead of everyone just like WebMDing like stuff and then going on TikTok and being like, okay, guys, this is what you do in order to get rid of your anxiety.
Well, if that's where you go to get your information about getting rid of anxiety, then.
But that's where people are going. You know, they like to hear other people's. They like to hear other people. So people go to TikTok and they type in like tips for anxiety, and then you're like, oh fuck, like what are these people listening to?
That's the problem. Like,
but
people should not.
Imagine if they can go to like an app, like an actual app.
Yeah.
Where they could Google, like, or not Google, but like look up. Physicians.
I'm sure that's out there, and you could find physicians with that information. It's just not as fun as looking it up on TikTok.
I know. I want it to be
as interesting,
but
or
I want it to be as interesting as like, you go on there and you search anxiety. It's like, okay, I want to listen to you could listen to like a TED Talk, you could listen to a podcast, you could listen to a book, but they're all going to be by people that like are on the approved list. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to be like...
But, you know, people are always going to have differing opinions, and there's always tests and studies running that give different conclusions and outcomes. And
I'm not saying you can't have different opinions and,
no, I
you know
know.
what I mean? And listen to different people.
But that's why it's hard to get on a unified, standardized thing, especially in this, in a mental health realm subject, you know, because there's so many studies and things being tested on that all the time, and people always have, you know, they take different criteria into, you know.
I guess it's more so for me, it's like, instead of going on there, and I want it to be more holistic. Like, instead of people going and being like, oh, what drugs do I need to take to make my problems better? It's like, okay, breath work, somatic exercises, things that you can do, therapy things, like tips and tricks. And like, this is not, that's more mental health. But then you can go in there if you want, for like parenting tips, you can like search something and it'll give you like different ways to do it. Like, I'm having issues with my kid acting out, whatever. Here are some things that, you know, breath work for kids. Here's some books that you can read. Here's some things that we suggest, you know, and they can all have different opinions, but like generally it's like approved by someone that it's like a...
Yeah, but who's that authority?
I don't know.
That's when
you have to have
this.
You have to have.
That's why it has to be a community and societal based, because you can't have, you know, you can't have a single person or entity that is the arbiter.
No, it's not good. It would be
what is good for mental health or what is good for early childhood development.
I think it would have to be all different, like I said, all different types of sectors. You'd have to have like everyone involved. It wouldn't just be...
It's going to be discussed and debated, and then obviously, you know,
like you're going to have people on the board. It's going to be like a board, and there's going to be people from all different types of like, there's going to be people from education, from medical, like psychologists. You're going to have governments, people on the board. You're going to have all different people that are working together to like decide based off
who
of
can
like
teach that stuff.
Well, like, who's going to be on the accredited list?
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to, like, research a certain topic, like, there's certain publications or certain things that are going to have, like, a higher accreditation than others, right? Like, if you're going to go, like, research something, if you go to, like, trying to think of like a government website or something, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you go to like a more I don't even know like the right word, like there's like certain websites out there or like publications or different like, what's one that you would go to like if you really want to search something and you're like, oh, this came from
Pew Research.
Yeah, like exactly, like this is should be held like with a high level.
Yeah, but that's all done through, you know, debating and in weeding out the chaff between ideas that are thrown out there.
And that's what the board is there to do, I guess. Like,
yeah, but the board can also be challenged.
Sure.
You know.
Yeah. I'm not saying
like if Joe Schmo comes around and is like, yeah, I've also been doing this for 35 years and you guys are all wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, they can't just be like, no, this guy's not accredited. Like, they have to hear him out. And
you're going to have to
challenge his ideas, and then you're going to have to debate it, and then you're going to have to do studies on it.
Yeah,
and
you're going to have to have a room full of people with all different types of opposing views.
Yeah, that's why it's always going to be, you know, it's never going to be standardized.
But I don't
think it will. You know, it will be standardized to an extent, I guess.
Right,
you know?
Like to an extent where we are providing information that I think is all going to be positive information.
Yeah, there's enough agreement upon it in the professional sector
that
it's like, this is like the standard kind of thing. Maybe.
I don't know, babe. I don't know. I feel like
I don't know. It's all too big for my head.
This is why this class was so interesting to me, and why I wanted to take it is because I felt like it's one of those things that it's way bigger than me, but I do know that I have ideas. Anyway, that's why when I started reading into these case studies and I started seeing, like I said, that these things are already actually happening, I was like, wow, this is cool. Like
Mm-hmm.
we can make this work somehow, some way. And so I just wanted to flesh it out and
And if it is happening here in the United
it's
States and
not.
you know of something that we don't, then
Please let me know, but it's not. It's
leave it in
definitely
the
not.
comments. Leave it in the comments. Any organizations or NGOs
There
or.
are other app. I know, like, so Dr. Becky Kennedy, the girl that I always talk about, the
Mm-hmm.
girl who is really big into like holistic parenting and stuff. She has an app. I'm
Mm-hmm.
pretty sure you have to pay for it,
Of
but
course.
she has an app where she kind of dives into different parenting tips and stuff like that. But again,
Mm-hmm.
why can't she work like alongside on a board with all these other people to develop something that can be broader for everyone, that maybe can be free for the whole country? You know what I mean? Like, why?
Maybe. But maybe in her field, it's not a consensus that she has the best ideas. And maybe
Right.
that's why
And
that's not
maybe not.
happening.
Right. But I guess exactly. And that's what I'm here to try to. eh,
Yeah.
That
That's
is,
why it's just hard. It's
that
hard to
is,
scale it on that
and
level.
and that's what I wrote down. And we can end on this, and I guess we can come back to it in another time. It said like what adaptations what we really need to consider in order for this to make a change, or to like in order for this to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote down that there would likely need to be improvements made around the study of attachment theory and the psychology of dysregulation and co-regulation, and like how close emotional bonds and um like how parents should parent. Like there's going to need to be a change in that, like, and because she has a very new age way of parenting, right? She
Mm-hmm.
believes in, like, I would even say like gentle parenting, right? Like not a lot of
Mm-hmm.
yelling, co-regulation, probably co-sleeping, things like that, making sure that the kids are having the strong emotional intelligence. Like those are things that she really focuses on,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that would be something that would really need to kind of improve here in America. Like our education on that would need to improve, um or people's mindset, or people on the board would all have to kind of agree with that same sort of, um
Yeah, if they want to.
if they
But a
want
lot of people
to.
don't like new age
Right. They
parenting.
don't, but I think that that's something that we would have to kind of shift culturally into, which I think Chile is
Mm-hmm.
doing, is less rigidity, like less rigid parenting,
Mm-hmm.
and more accepting again of ourselves, that we are the problem and that we are not perfect, and that that we have some maybe generational trauma that's leading the show, and there's like a lot of things that might be causing us to parent the way that we are,
Mm-hmm.
and we might be affecting our kids because of previous um our prior things that may have happened in our lives. Like, so these are all things, again, deeper concepts that I think us as a society would have to get on board with before we would even be able to become better parents, which is why I think starts with adults collectively, just like in the mental health and sphere, and like just like learning more about themselves, and like people just becoming a collectively more conscious overall. I think that needs to happen first
Mm-hmm.
before you could even implement something like this. I think,
Yeah.
and I think it's slowly starting to happen. I think even more so, sad to say, like as generations are dying off, right? And like we are becoming the new
Old people.
old people, it will help a little bit with the shift, I think.
Well,
Not
if
just
the
because
majority of us new old people are on board with that
I
way,
think it I think I
which I
think
don't know if people are.
I think we'd be able to get there.
I think it's trendy, but I don't know if most parents, you know,
Yeah. That is
uh
the biggest issue.
uh
It's just
tactics.
stubbornness and uneducation that is leading us, I think, to not want to change. Because I think if people were educated on the differences that having being a conscious human could have on your life, then more people would want to do it. Like they don't even understand like what it could how it could benefit them. Maybe like no one's having this conversation with them. They don't even know what I'm talking about. If I say like, "Are you a conscious human?" We've had this conversation
Yeah, well,
before. Like a
everybody's
lot of
conscious.
people, they are, but they're
I don't know
not.
what you're talking about, like by that.
Yeah, see, that's my point.
Because
Like,
when you say, "Oh, I'm so conscious," I'll be like, "Okay, well, I'm conscious too." I
but
don't
it's like
know.
I'm talking about like stopping and thinking about stuff. Like, and I'm talking about like not just like a lot of people are going through the motions of the day.
You're talking about like not surface level thinking. You're talking about like in depth, like psychological.
No, not even that. Just being present. I'm talking about being present to actually
philosophical,
grounded in what is actually happening in the present moment, and not being in the past, which might be like grief, or in the future, which is like anxiety of thinking about something that's of what's about to happen,
Yeah.
or things that happened in the past. You need to be focused. Like, a lot of people cannot consciously focus on like what is actually happening in front of them.
Yeah.
They're on some other sort of mental plane, like that's got them on this loop where they can't be present.
Oh.
And so when you're operating, when I say that, like when
well, then I'm like the most conscious because I feel like I'm only present. Like I never really think about the past. I forget everything, and I never really think about the future. I don't have goals. I just go my day to day. I just live in the presence.
I mean, yeah, I'm not saying that you're not. I'm just saying my point is that a lot of people are not. They're not doing that.
Yeah, not doing that. Yeah.
And because they're not doing that, they aren't aware of their own patterns. Like they aren't aware of what they're doing. They're not aware that they're even a bad parent.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're not aware that they have issues or like things that they could work on. Right?
Yeah, well, everybody has something they can work on.
Well, right,
that's
but
a fact.
That's a fact. But there's a lot of humans operating out there that aren't even thinking about that stuff. They're not pausing to even think about that stuff. They're not pausing to think, oh, well, how could I have done this differently? They're not. And so that's what I think we need to gain as a society, is just a little more self-awareness, right? And then once we are more self-aware, then you automatically, just in my opinion, become a better human and a better parent, because you're going to be aware of what you're doing. You're going to stop yourself and be like, ooh, that was ugly, or ew, why did I do that? Or hold on, like, why am I feeling this way? Like, you're going to just stop for a minute and just think, because you're not going to be like on this loop of like whatever the hell you're thinking about. You're going to be present. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it. That makes sense.
So that's my goal, is to have a group of humans on this planet that are aware enough of their own emotions, so that when they do become a parent, or if they do want to become a parent, it becomes easier, just so much easier. You don't even need to really like Google tips and tricks, because you're just going to be focused and present on your kid, and that's all they really want, right? Is for you to be present and focused and engaging and listening. And you don't need toys and a million other like workbooks to teach you how to be a parent. We've been doing it for centuries, right? It's really just being there, talking with your kid, giving them answers when they ask them, communication, right? Helping them flourish out thoughts. These are things that if you're present and talking with your kids and talking with them and teaching them, that it comes naturally. But if you're thinking about a million things, or about your country about to get bombed, or, you know, like in other countries, you know, they have so many other issues, poverty, things happening. You can't focus on like the number one thing, which is your kids. Yeah. Because you are trying to provide and keep yourself alive and keep yourself happy. Yeah. And so all that, I guess I can sum it up in that, and saying that that's where we need to, I think,
become a more conscious population.
I keep saying it over and over and over and over. I will beat it until like a dead horse, but I do think that will help us overall just be better.
Yeah, I agree.
You know? Whether you're a parent or not.
Yeah, you gotta be conscious of what you're doing. You don't want to be going around like a robot.
Right. And so, like, yeah, I mean, when you get pregnant and you become a mom and you're ready to become a parent, you're going to consciously think, okay, what do I need to do to be the best mom? I'm going to go try to find these steps. and you're going to go out and you're going to go search and try to do that stuff.
That negates the whole getting a whole Crise Contigo
department
together, because you're just going to already know.
No way, because even me being me thinking I'm a relatively conscious human, I still need guidance, and I still look to people for advice, but I can then read those, take that advice, and then decipher like how I want to actually use it to be a good parent. Like I'm not just like doing it because someone told me to. You know what I mean? So it all ties together. Like you still need the tools. You still need people to help you along and the information. But you want to be doing it like purposefully, not just because someone said you have to do it. Otherwise, you're not. It's still not conscious. You're just doing it. Like it's like a motion at that point, you know. Just because.
Yeah, that's true.
You're like not consciously wanting to be the best parent. You're just doing it because like someone's forcing you to do it. That's not the goal. That's not my goal. So, okay. I've talked long enough. I hope that people agree with me.
I hope this makes sense.
I hope it makes sense. I wanted to just come on, like I said, I just wanted to come on and chat. And I hope that one day we can like have a TV show or something out there to help parents become more conscious humans.
I hope you can have a TV show too, babe. I don't want to be on the TV show.
No, I don't want to be on the TV show.
Oh.
I don't want to be
we
the
can own
TV show host. No. Yeah, I want to just come up with, I want to produce the show. I've always wanted to produce something, and I want to produce multiple things, but this is one thing that I think would be major to society and could grow to be something bigger than just me, right? This is involving so many people, doctors and scientists and parents and children and all types of media. And so it gets everyone involved. It gets people excited. You know, if you tell, everyone loves TV, everyone loves talking shit about other people. It's the truth. But when you get to watch other social experiments and people talk about this stuff, it gets the community talking. It gets people, talking about subjects that they may not have wanted or thought about. And I like that stuff. I like stirring the pot a little bit. And
that's how you find out the good ideas from the bad
making
ideas.
People more conscious. People watch the show and they're like, oh, shit. Maybe I do that. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you just need to watch someone else and then you're like, ew, I don't ever want to do that. You know what I mean?
Oh, shit. I do that.
And that's not to shame the parents that are on the show, but that's also to bring awareness to them. You know? So that's, don't steal my show.
Don't steal my show.
I hate talking about my ideas on this, but I feel like it's good to share.
Trademark. It's trademark.
At least
if you come up with a name for it, we already trademarked it.
It's proof that I had the idea first.
Yeah. Well, maybe not proof. I don't know. We haven't scoured the internet to see. Well, if
ABC had the idea first. They came up.
We're stealing it from them, motherfuckers.
But I want to talk to someone on the network about why that got.
Yeah, why'd you stop?
Why did that get trashed? Yeah.
I don't know. You can probably find whoever produced it and ask.
Why'd it get tabled?
Send them a letter.
Bring it back.
No, just ask why they stopped. And then when they give you a reason, you'd be like, oh, I'll fill that role.
Cool, thanks, bye.
Put it back on.
Cool, thanks, bye. I think it'd be better if it wasn't on network television, though, because then you could have like some really crazy conversations.
Yeah.
You learn from all the different types of parenting. And I'm not saying just because a person likes to party that they can't be a really fucking good parent. You know what I mean? So it's like, who knows? I want to see it all.
Well, they could be thinking they're being a good parent, but
that too. And
that's also
really bad.
Influencing the kid in some way, somehow.
Yeah, yeah. So it's all conversation.
Yep.
It's all about starting the conversation. And then you become better by learning and growing.
And we started
people. All right. I've talked enough. I'm sorry, guys, if I've bored you. But
no, we're not. We're not sorry. You don't have to watch it if you're bored.
Thanks for watching. We love you. Don't forget
subscribe to our channel. Like, share, come at me in the comments.
Yeah. And
get our engagement up. Watch the whole thing. We need the viewership. We need the hours viewed.
Okay, I'm gonna end on that. I'm hot and sweaty. Okay, bye.
Later.